All right. It looks. You guys seeing live on the StreamYard side?
Yep, we're live.
Yep.
I'm not seeing it on the LinkedIn
We are
side.
live.
Tiana, do you know, are we live on LinkedIn? All right. Well, yeah, it's not showing up.
Okay, I'm just looking too.
There we go. Now we are. Oh, it's still
Good.
late. Got me again. All right. Well, let's kick this off. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We're here to talk about Amazon, all things Amazon. And while the Genesis company is good at Amazon, we are not the absolute experts. So we thought, let's get a couple experts to join us. We have Cory Chin with us today from Canopy. Really quick intro on Cory before Cory jumps in and steals the show from us. He's the Director of Sales and Business Intelligence at Canopy Management. Cory launched his career in Amazon in 2017, quickly rose through the ranks at Canopy, evolving from an ad specialist to the brand director. Did I get that right, Cory?
Yeah.
What does that mean? He leads strategy and growth for brands across retail, CPG, health, and beauty, scaling brands to over $100 million in annual sales. And he's also worked on some major e-commerce brands, or the e-commerce strategy for, is it Philips?
Philips North America.
How was that? Wonderful.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love it. Over Cory's career, he's overseen over $1 billion in sales. So, I mean, if there's someone that understands Amazon, I think it's Cory. And he's with us today to talk, really, is Amazon right for your brand in 2025 and beyond? What do you need to know? And whatever questions the audience has along the way, we're going to get to those as well. So, Cory, what did I miss in your intro? What else do you want people to know about you?
That's it. If people are curious, they can send me a message. More than happy to give them a chat and dive a little bit deeper.
Love it. Awesome. And Jen and Chris from Genesis are with us as well. Jen and Chris know way more about Amazon than I do as well. So I'm going to sort of lead this thing a little bit, but you got three experts here, everybody, that ask questions away. So, Cory, first things first, what do brands need to understand about Amazon in 2025?
Yeah, so to start, I would say the bar is higher than ever. Amazon is rewarding brands that operate with precision, tight operations, and retail readiness, and fast consumer resolution as well, because all of those pieces are extremely important for the consumer experience. It's not enough just to have great creative or a big ad budget anymore. If your operations aren't in order, you're going to struggle to perform.
And how does Amazon know that? Like, how does the brand show Amazon they're ready and they're ready to kill it on this platform?
Yeah, it's through so many different metrics. So one is making sure you're in stock and you have inventory. You're leveraging advertising. You're deploying the ad dollars. You're showing Amazon that you're willing to invest in the brand and essentially feeding their algorithm on why they should promote your product more organically. And then with the advertising, it's what is your click-through rate? What is your conversion rate? How is the consumer interacting with your brand, the product page? Are the consumers resonating it? Are they returning the product? Amazon is looking at every single metric, comparing you to the competition, and really determining which products is most beneficial for Amazon to promote and move up the page.
Yeah, Matt, I think one thing I would add to that is one of the things we talk about a lot with clients is channel strategy. And we basically say for most consumer brands, brands should be where consumers want to shop. And Amazon, a lot of people want to shop there. There's, tons of Prime members. It's delivered the same day or the next day. And so we work with brands from impulse products at really low price points to $15,000 golf carts on Amazon.
Right.
So there is a path to success for any brand. And it really comes down to portfolio, promotional strategy, and working that all out so it serves the consumer in that channel.
No, that's great. Jen.
I was just going to add to that too. Cory, you talked a lot about metrics too. Do you want to go into a little bit deeper on like what are the most important metrics and where should brands be?
Yeah, so there's a ton of different metrics, but what really matters the most, in my opinion, I'll probably break it down to the top three. I would say tacos would be number one, relative to how many ad dollars you're spending, relative to how much sales you're generating in total. From there, I would say conversion rate. So, how many consumers are clicking on your product through advertising and actually purchasing? Because at the end of the day, we don't want to pay the advertising dollars without generating a positive return. And my final one that might be a little bit different, but I really see brands leaning into this more and more, especially in 2025, is subscribe and save subscriptions, especially if you're selling a product where we can drive repeat purchases or even upsells or cross sells. It's extremely important because what we're seeing is CPCs are getting higher than ever. So how do we combat that? Maybe we're losing or break even on the first point of sale, but if we can get them into reoccurring purchases and increase their lifetime value, then that is where we see the most benefit for those brands. Not having to pay multiple times or multiple layers of ad dollars to convert the same exact consumer.
Yeah, I think a lot of brands too just look at ROAS, and it really misses the total contribution margin. So that's why I'm right there with Cory on tacos being a really key metric, because you can really understand then all of the total cost, relative to ad spend.
So do me a favor really quick. For us people that do not understand what you just said, Chris and Cory, what are tacos? What is ROAS? Explain these terms real quick.
Yeah, I can go for it, Chris, if you want. So ROAS is return on advertising spend. So how much advertising dollars did you spend divided by how much advertising sales that you've driven. So if you spent $100 and you generated $200 in sales, you're dividing those two to get that metric there.
Okay.
And tacos is total advertising cost of sales. So what that represents is how much ad dollars your brand spent divided by your total sales. So not just the advertising sales, but advertising and organic. It gives you more a cohesive look of, yes, we're investing in advertising and maybe we're seeing a break-even return on just directly from advertising, but overall as a brand, maybe we're growing more momentum and generating more organic sales over time.
And generically speaking, what should brands aim for ROAS and for tacos?
Yeah, so for ROAS, I would say for a brand that's a little bit more focused on growth, being a little bit more aggressive, I would say 3 to 3.5x return is a good baseline to be. Obviously, the greater is the better. That is what everyone is aiming for. But if you're looking to be aggressive, I would say a bare minimum around a 3x ROAS is a great place to be to make sure you're generating profit at the end of the day. And then from a taco standpoint, if your brand is expanding, again, foot on the pedal, I would say 20 to 25% tacos is a great place to be, depending on the brand, the category, your margin, so on and so forth. But for a more established brand, 20 to 25% is where you're really pushing on the gas. And I would say 10 to 15% is for more of a brand that is either one, extremely more established, they're driving their own branded search volume, they're converting higher than the category average. I would say is probably in that 10 to 15% range. Or I would say that's more so a smaller brand that is focused on cash flow or bottom dollar.
Got it. Thank you. We're what, 8 minutes into this thing. We've already gotten so much nuggets. It's wonderful. I have one other question on 2025 high level, and then I want to shift gears a little bit to how do you evaluate if Amazon's a good place to start? You mentioned it's more important than ever to prove to Amazon, help Amazon understand that you're ready, you're committed, you're going to make this happen. I'm just curious, how does AI algorithms like the world we're in right now play into everything versus proving to a human at Amazon that you're ready and you're scalable and you're a good brand? Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
A little bit. So are you asking more of how consumer behaviors are shifting and Amazon is changing strategically, or more so in the sense of what is non-negotiable for success on Amazon?
If I'm a brand and I'm trying to go win on Amazon, do I need to prove to the system somehow, to the algorithm, to make that thing like me? Or is there some other way where you work with us or Canopy and we're able to sort of bypass the algorithm to work with people and prove that we're committed to doing this?
It's absolutely a combination of both. I would say the first step in that is yes, you want to prove to the algorithm that you have a great product, there's consumer demand for it. It makes Amazon a profit at the end of the day. You're investing in advertising, one, to generate more exposure for the brand, but also to feed into Amazon's algorithm, because that is also a significant portion of where they make their profit, to really feed into that algorithm. So Amazon is working with you and not against you. But really where an agency like Canopy or even Genesis comes into play is maybe a brand has the foundation, or maybe the brand doesn't really understand where to start. They're utilizing our expertise and what we've learned over the years to really understand, are we putting the right puzzle pieces in play at the right time? Because we can have all the puzzle pieces, but if we don't know how to assemble the puzzle, or if we don't know the right cook time for the bread that we're baking, it's going to fail. So it's really coming down to making sure the details are there, because it's not 2010 anymore where you can just go list on Amazon and people find this random product that you just drop ship from China and you're making a ton of money. There's so much competition, and it's crucial that you understand every single lever that is able to be pulled within Amazon, and making sure you're pulling and pushing them at the right time and in the right order.
Yeah, I think another thing to add on that is brands really do need to set themselves up for success from the start with optimized product pages.
Absolutely.
So all the right content, loading up the image carousel, infographics, video, lifestyle, brand module, all of that to make sure that it's conversion optimized, so that when we do press the gas, we know we're going to get a higher likelihood of conversion.
Yeah, and people like to say there's like this honeymoon phase on Amazon, especially if you're launching. And I really like to believe that, in a sense. Amazon doesn't really come out and state that. But what we've seen are brands that launch properly, that are retail ready, where they're setting up the product pages with high quality content. They're creating the titles, the descriptions, the copy. They're implementing the back end search terms. Really firing and pulling all of those levers at the right time is crucial, because in the early stages, Amazon wants to see that, one, you're utilizing all the tools that they're offering. Two, you're giving the consumer as much information and clarity for them to make their educated decision quickly, because otherwise Amazon is going to say, hey, you have a 2-word title, your image is shot in your closet in the dark, and consumers aren't going to understand what they buy. Because what Amazon has really focused on, and probably what has made them extremely successful outside of their logistics, is consumer happiness. Is the consumer happy at the end of the day? Because as you know, if there's any issue, Amazon is going to give them a refund. They want to make sure that consumer is happy. So if you're not providing high quality content through the listing to that consumer, Amazon is going to push you further away from the brands that are doing it well.
And making sure too that you have great reviews, because like what Cory's saying, you have to make sure that you have a really happy consumer. And so showcase that through reviews. So utilize the Vine program, make sure that upfront you have reviews in place. And then you're also like sending the emails out to ask for reviews after someone purchases your product. But that part's really important too.
Absolutely. And to kind of even segue here, one thing is like the biggest shift that we're seeing is like brands really can't solely rely on the bottom of funnel tactics as well anymore, especially coming into 2025 with the rising CPCs on Amazon. It's really more important than ever to cultivate brand awareness and consideration off platform, whether that's through Meta, TikTok, influencers, affiliate partnerships. Brands need to show up early in the shopping journey so that by the time that the consumer lands on Amazon, they're already recognized and trust the brand. That top of funnel investment is now a crucial part of converting efficiently and sustaining long-term growth, because we do also see a lot of times brand hit it out the park in the first 30, 60, 90 days, and they're seeing the growth that they like, but then they hit a plateau and they don't know what is next. And what is next is driving your own traffic to, again, spark Amazon's algorithm. So they're saying, hey, more people off of Amazon are now shopping on Amazon because of this brand. So let's incentivize their position, because at the end of the day, it's bringing more consumers to the Amazon platform.
That is a huge point, Cory, because Amazon seems to reward off-platform traffic. And
Absolutely.
what we're seeing more and more, obviously social media is a huge driver of discoverability of brands and awareness. And for people making investments like on TikTok, affiliates and things like this, a lot of those people are learning about the brand there, and they go to Amazon to purchase it. So getting that top of funnel, social media, all of those tactics in place is huge.
Yeah, and how I kind of look at it, especially coming into 25, like I keep reiterating, CPCs are going through the roof. Some brands just can't sustain it. So another strategy you really need to look at is, can you drive more brand awareness, more mid to upper funnel that is cheaper to cheaper advertising to purchase? And when the consumer comes to Amazon, instead of typing a very generic, say, supplement term, they're searching your brand name, where you're able to, one, show up organically right at the top, but also two, have lower CPCs on your own branded terms. So you can essentially just capture those consumers. You're not fighting in the bigger pool, competing against the largest brands in the space at $6, $7, $8 CPCs, where you're almost guaranteed not to make money on the first purchase.
So, well, go ahead, Jen.
Just something to add to that too is what we see a lot with brands is that when looking at the full funnel or looking at all the different platforms they're on, they're not being consistent with their branding and their approach. And so it's really good now to think holistically and make sure that you're not siloed. So Amazon's not one silo, social media is not another, that you're looking at it really as a overall strategy, because you have to be consistent all the way through.
Absolutely. Cohesive approach, because even sometimes we see brands have amazing D2C. They spent so much time, money, effort building it out. And then they're just like, hey, I just want to throw the products on Amazon. And I'm like, it's not to the same standard of your brand, of your branding. And it's really important to the consumer, because at the end of the day, regardless of the category, there's always brands that can source goods cheaper, whatever. But it comes down to the branding that delivers the true experience to that consumer.
So if I'm following you guys, what I'm hearing, the biggest difference in 2025 is that Amazon historically was bottom of funnel. People would go there and they would just search and convert and buy. And what you're saying now is, yes, Amazon is still wonderful for bottom of funnel, but all of your marketing has to be cohesive. And if you can drive people to Amazon in the first place and make it more of a channel strategy versus just an Amazon strategy, and they get to Amazon and it's your brand and it looks like your brand everywhere else, and it'll convert way better. And that's really the game that you have to play in 2020.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because brands are getting smarter, consumers are getting smarter from their research. And we could even look at it from the different perspective. If we look at it from the perspective of a competitor in the space. So imagine if we're only advertising on Amazon as our brand, but the competitors, Amazon, advertising on TV, they're advertising on Google, they're advertising on TikTok. Consumers are all over the place. We flip from one app to the next, to the next, to the next. So if we see that brand passing between the apps that we scroll through on a daily basis, by the time they get to Amazon, they're going to remember the brand that they saw interacting with all of their content, versus just the brand, myself, sitting there on Amazon saying, please purchase my product.
So one of the things I wanted to cover off with you on this is we want to talk about some examples of where or categories that make total sense for Amazon and maybe some that don't. But that question of brands that it doesn't make sense for, as I hear what you just said, like everybody should probably have some sort of presence on Amazon. Is that like the new future?
Absolutely. Amazon continues to grow. They continue to improve their logistics. Like currently, you go shop on a D2C, maybe best case scenario, you're getting 2, 3, 4 day shipping. And sometimes they're charging you extra for that expedited shipping. Where Amazon, you can get two-day shipping with Prime Standard. And in most cases, if you live in larger cities, you can get same-day delivery. The convenience factor in that is there's nothing as close. It's almost even better than retail, because by the time you get into your car, you drive over there, you're stuck in traffic, you're still not getting the goods in time by the time Amazon's
What are the categories that you see are absolutely thriving right now, and Amazon is just over-indexing and winning right now?
Yeah, and when I say categories, I wouldn't really say there's a specific one. How I really look at it is brands with strong margins, operational control, and clear product market fit, they're going to see a lot more success, just opposed to saying, hey, supplements are thriving, let's launch a supplement product.
Okay.
You really need to be hitting all the main pillars of why your product is a great fit in the market. What are the differentiating factors? Is your pricing competitive? Are you providing the level of quality as the competition or better? And then what is your branding? What is the resonation of why that consumer wants to choose you over the 1,000 other options? We see a lot of success in pet, beauty, consumable toys that we partner with you, home, health, and household. But in my opinion, what really matters most is how well you execute across catalog, supply chain, and advertising.
Are there any categories that are still a big struggle on Amazon? Like I work with a bunch of food companies, frozen food and refrigerated food. Is that a really tough place to win right now?
Yeah, I would say frozen food is a little bit more tough because you have to work through the logistics of keeping the items cold. I would also say other categories where, like furniture, where you have extremely large goods with the shipping cost, with different tariffs, if you're getting it from overseas, like all of these things add up. And in certain categories, it becomes a significant barrier to enter. Because at the end of the day, it's like, hey, we need to order 1,000 mattresses and we need to bring in 5 containers or whatever. All of those costs add up and it goes to the end consumer. And if you're not able to strategically source, find the products, logistically ship the products, package the products, then at the end of the day, you're not going to have the margin to turn a profit or even have the cash flow to sustain being on Amazon.
Yeah, we see it's super important for brands to put that fully burdened P&L together and really understand it and make the assessment from there. Definitely.
Yeah, really creating that plan. And another thing that I would say is really important is in regards to your catalog, really understanding what product is going to be the hero product. Because a lot of times I see brands that are interested in launching on Amazon. They're like, hey, we have a catalog of 10, we have a catalog of 100. I just want to throw everything on there and see what sells. But at the end of the day, if we're going to be deploying these advertising dollars, we really need to know, one, what is the best product? What is working best on your D2C? What the opportunity is within that category so we can build out an advertising playbook or strategy or blueprint on how we're going to promote that product. And one great story that I have was a brand that I used to manage in the pet space, a leading supplement pet brand. For them, what their strategy essentially was, and where I'm going is they actually exited to Chewy. So obviously they were very successful on Amazon, off Amazon, and retail. But for them on Amazon, the main strategy, how they focused and really built out their catalog was starting with a hero product, doing everything possible to scale that one hero product that they really believe in, that is a differentiating factor for their business, getting that to page 1, showing up top of page to the point where we feel like we've hit a plateau due to the search volume within the category, like maximizing our reach within that specific category and then looking to expand from there. How can we create a new hero product? Because what we don't want to happen is launch 5 hero products and then you're spread too thin and you don't have the budget to invest in inventory. You don't have the budget to invest in advertising. And it doesn't mean that the product is bad. It's just you didn't have the direct focus to get to the point of where they can all succeed at once.
Sounds like just like in retail, you need to get good at the fundamentals, focus,
Yeah, absolutely.
drive the top items, and don't water down your brand with a bunch of stuff that's not going to sell. Yeah,
Absolutely.
We've got. I know this wraps up here in a few minutes, so I don't want to steal you for too long.
No worries.
Ben and Chris, do you have any other questions you want to throw Cory's way before we look to some of the submitted questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So, Cory, if a brand is interested in Amazon, or if they're on Amazon today and they just want Canopy to look at their performance and how they're doing, what's a great way that they can do that?
Yeah, one, generally speaking, they can reach out to myself at Canopy in general, Genesis. You guys have amazing resources to really guide everyone. But what I would really say is, generally speaking, on the Canopy approach, we don't really believe in a one-size-fits-all approach. Every brand we partner with receives a custom-built blueprint tailored to their unique goals, challenges, and their growth stage. Whether it's a category-leading CPG or a rising D2C startup, like no two paths are the same. We take pride in our white glove, hands-on model. We really enjoy working closely with our partners, ensuring every detail is touched. Nothing slips through the cracks. And that really comes down from category or catalog structure, to creative testing, the ad strategies, the operation alignment. We want to make sure we're building out a roadmap designed to drive sustainable long-term growth and not just a quick 30, 60, 90-day explosion and then die off.
I love it. We do have 2 questions that came in. So here we go,
Yeah.
Cory. You ready?
What do we got?
All right. First one. We're a premium brand with higher price points. Can Amazon still work for us?
Absolutely. Obviously, it's a different strategy. We're not selling something that might be a need for that consumer. We're not selling them toothpaste, for example. We're selling them something premium. But yes, it requires strong storytelling and trust building. Because at the end of the day, we need the consumers to resonate with the brand. Why are they aligning with paying a premium? Is because they really believe in the brand, the storytelling, the quality. And you can't really even show the quality without having the high quality content, having appropriate videos, and a clear value proposition to justify the price so we can convert those consumers. I actually just recently spoke with a premium perfume brand, and they're selling each bottle for north of $500, and they're finding success on Amazon. And to me, when I look at it from a generic standpoint, you're like, man, who on Amazon is buying a $500 bottle of perfume? Not me, but there is the audience there. So when you're reaching that correct audience, we need to make sure the brand is positioned as high quality as possible because it's not retail. They can't pick up the physical item and check it out and see what the details are. We have to show them through a computer screen or phone screen.
So in that instance, is that where video and UGC and some of the other assets that people don't typically think about Amazon can really come in handy?
Absolutely. Video is a great asset. And typically when you search on Amazon, go look now. Videos, there's usually one video ad placement on the page. So it's the only moving asset on the page. It captures the consumer's attention. And consumers love UGC, especially with TikTok being the next big thing or the latest big thing, is consumers want to see the product in use by an actual consumer. Obviously, back in the early 2000s, 2010, even now, we see a lot of advertising where it's extremely professional, showing the best case scenario. Consumers also like to see it in an everyday scenario so they can see the convenience of the product, how it works, and really what they're going to get to really have that trust.
Love it. I will keep going with questions.
Yeah, I see them popping in. I'm just trying to read through them too.
Do you have any tips for collecting reviews authentically?
Yeah, so this one comes up a lot because everyone wants to generate reviews because reviews generate trust with the end consumer. But at the end of the day, this isn't 2010 anymore where you can pay for reviews, try to get people to leave biased reviews. Really, at the end of the day here, first, we need to leverage Amazon Vine, especially if you're a new brand launching. Amazon Vine you're essentially sending your product to Amazon consumers enrolled in the Vine program. And as a result of them getting your product for free, they're going to leave you an unbiased review. So that is a great way to get initial reviews out the gate. But overall, it's one of the most efficient ways to build initial trust. Second use is tools on Amazon. Manage your consumer engagement experience program and request a review button within Seller Central. We still meet with a lot of brands today that aren't familiar with the Amazon UI that you can go in and request the consumer review to that consumer. So that's great. But third of all, the most important is, I would say, building out the consumer experience. And what I'm going to say might be a little bit controversial, but I want to make it really clear is including inserts within your packaging that genuinely enhance the consumer experience. I don't mean putting an insert in the package and saying, hey, please leave me a review, or hey, if you don't like the product, email me first and then we'll make it right, because that is against terms of service.
Yeah, you'll get shut down. Don't do that.
And you'll get shut down. But what we need to do is think of things like setup guides or usage ideas of your product. Without crossing into incentivization, the goal really is to create a natural path for satisfied consumers to leave an honest, helpful review. Really trying to take the honest approach of how can we help the consumer? How can we show the consumer that this product is going to make their life better? And at the end of that road, the consumer is going to leave a positive, authentic.
I love that advice, and I want everybody to re-listen to that. This is not just an Amazon thing. If you're an e-commerce brand at all, you need to be thinking about this. For every person that buys from you and your website that you ship to, that you can control the experience, make it special and fun and exciting.
Absolutely.
Don't just ship them a product in a box.
Absolutely. And then obviously on top of that is sales velocity. The more you sell, it's also a numbers game of how many reviews you're going to get.
Sure.
We manage a brand with over 300,000 reviews. And every time we talk about them, people are like, how do you get that? What's the secret sauce? What can I do? Can I pay someone? But at the end of the day, it takes time, and it takes, again, helping the consumer achieve their goals, whatever your product solves for them, and making sure they have such a great experience that they want to tell other people.
Do you have a couple more minutes, or do you have
Absolutely.
a hard stop?
For you guys, anything.
I had a question come up yesterday. I was talking to a food brand about Amazon, and one of their questions, and I know it depends. I know the answer is it depends, but they were very curious. How long does it take to really start gaining traction and know, is Amazon going to be a successful channel for me or not?
Yeah. So this one, we get this a lot, especially with brands that are launching. They want to know, how quickly am I going to get rich? Am I going to be a millionaire tomorrow? But really what I want to say on that is it obviously depends, but I'll give you the caveat. The caveat is some brands can reach six figures within 30, 60, 90 days, but they may not be in the same position as you. Maybe they have venture capital funding where they can spend $1 million in the first 90 days. Maybe they have a celebrity-backed influencer or a TikTok partner that they're leveraging to gain the awareness. That's giving them, I would say, the advantage out of the gate. They're hitting the ground running versus a brand that might just be starting from scratch. Maybe you have an idea, you started to source some materials, you're doing it at home, selling out of your garage. Now you're launching on Amazon. I wouldn't keep that goal of, I need to hit six figures in 90 days. What I really tell those brands is budget based off of the runway. And what I mean by that is making sure we have a long enough runway to survive, because most brands don't even make it to the point where they can reach that exponential growth because they take themselves out of business too quickly. They're trying to invest every dollar and see that return tomorrow. Instead, if you have $10,000, if you have $100,000, I always say plan for at least 12 months runway, because that gives us enough time to collect data, understand where consumers are interested in purchasing and converting from our ads or for our products, and then developing the strategy over time on how we're going to reach more of those similar consumers. So we want to make sure we have a long enough runway, and sometimes it's not even 12 months. I've worked with brands that were at month 18, for example, and they were doing 40, 50K a month consistently, which is good. They were cash flow positive, which is great, but they weren't hitting that hockey stick growth. And then at month 18, when we really started to decide, hey, cash flow has been good, our consumers are coming back, we have great reviews now, our content is top notch, we've invested in proper A+ content, building out the storefront. Now we're like, okay, the business is ready for us to put our foot on the gas. And we were able to do that. We planned out the budget, we increased their investments, and from that around 50K a month, we were able to scale them to around $200,000 a month extremely quickly. And obviously everyone wants that within the first 30, 60, 90 days, but it's not the same for everyone. What can happen at day 90 for one brand is going to happen at year number 2, or maybe even year number 10 for some brands.
Yep.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on with us and diving into this. We are, for anyone that's still with us, next week we are diving into Vine review. Specifically, we're going to do the same webinar every single week moving forward. So today was high level Amazon 2025. What do you need to know? Next week we'll get tactical, and the weeks after. So excited for that. Cory, I think one last question or comment. If you had to summarize what we just said and boil it down into maybe one or two actionable pieces of advice for somebody to really win here, what is it?
If I had to give one specific example or one piece of advice, it would be treat Amazon like a key sales channel. It's not a side project. It's not, hey, I have a great D2C. Now I just want to list my products on Amazon. You have to give it the same level of attention if you want to succeed. You need to invest in content, your supply chain, and media at the end of the day to really drive that long-term success.
Oh, I love it. That's fantastic. If someone wants to reach out, learn more, talk, chat, what's the best way to get a hold of you guys?
Many different ways. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Cory Chen at Canopy Management. You can reach out to me directly. I'll give you my personal email here, Cory@canopymanagement.com. That's CORY@canopymanagement.com. I will respond to everyone's email. If we want to get on a quick call, I'm more than happy to give you a free 10, 15-minute consultation on where your brand stands and how we may be able to assist you. And if not, feel free to visit us at canopymanagement.com.
And Chris and Jen, how do people get in touch with you guys?
Yes, similar. You can contact us on LinkedIn, or you can email me, chrisj@thegenesiscompany.com.
And same, I'm Jen at thegenesiscompany.com.
All right. And I'm on LinkedIn all the time, so just shoot me a note. But you guys want to talk to those three. They're more fun. Well, I appreciate it. This was fantastic. It was great getting on and getting into the weeds a little bit. Hopefully it was high level enough for someone brand new here to go, okay, I got some things to do. But agencies exist for a reason, because they are experts in channels and they do great. And I know Canopy is one of the best that we've ever worked with. That's why we work with them. So appreciate everyone jumping on today, and look forward to some more big wins here in 2025.
Likewise, it was a pleasure. Look forward to speaking to you guys. Feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.